Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
So, who had a very wise mom? Yeah. Who had a pretty mom? Who had a great cook for mom? Who had the perfect mom? Yeah, you're with your mom. Good answer. And so, 35 plus years as a Unity Truth student, what I know is we could all raise our hands on that one. Who had the perfect mom? Because what I've learned in Unity and New Thought teaching is that there are no coincidences, there are no mistakes, and there are lots of divine appointments. And I think the biggest divine appointment that I certainly had, and I think we all have, is the one we have with our mom. And I love the Hindu teaching that we choose our parents before we get here. What? I love that teaching because it sort of dismantles and destroys blame. Blame. When I can say, wow, you know, on so many levels, I would not agree with that. But I came, you know, wanting those people. And yet, so when I was a kid, my parents were the most fascinating, glamorous, creative, infuriating, frustrating. I was infatuated with them, with my parents. They were both Gemini, so it was like having 4 parents. So it was a rather wild ride. My dad passed when I was 11, and my mom passed a couple years ago, in 2016, at the age of 103. Yeah. So I'm somewhere, I figure I'm somewhere in between on the longevity scale, so Myrtle Fillmore actually chose when to put the body down. I love that story that Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder and really the mother of Unity, went around her office to say goodbye. It was a Friday, and she said goodbye to people, and you know, her secretary said, "I'll see you on Monday," and Myrtle said, "No, it's time to put the body down." She was kind of confused by this and sort of thought, "Oh, okay," you know. And then she passed a few days later. I don't know if we get to choose. It would be lovely. Myrtle Fillmore was, of course, quite an advanced metaphysician. But I do love that teaching that we choose our parents. I can absolutely get it now. I absolutely get that. My mother was my first voice coach. And rumor had it that when she met my father when she was 17, she was just a girl. And her mother took her to California to be in the movies. Took her out of school and went to California to be in the movies. And my father followed them out there. And much to my grandmother's dismay, they got married. And Hal Roach Movie Studios called my mother the next day, offered her a contract, and she said, "I'm sorry, I just signed another contract with my husband." A star was not born. But she had 9 children, and there have been many passings of those kids. There are 4 of us left. And she was just a remarkable mother. Her mother, on the other hand, not so much. she was kind of a wild child. And in the words of a friend of mine, a woman who may have looked good on a broom. I'm just saying. She was, you know, but we give what we know, you know. We teach what we've been taught, and that's all. And that's really all she knew. But it made my mother a different mother to us. So who's to say? My mom got the perfect mom. I find it hard to believe. But I want to talk about, and two stories I want to tell about our kids. Now, I'm the 7th of 9, and I had one. I got a little bit of a late start, but I used to say at bedtime, before lights out, in the whole wide world of boys, how did we get the best one? You know, my son is 27 now. We're going to go see some Shakespeare today for Mother's Day, because that's what I want to do. Hamlet may not be the most appropriate play for Mother's Day, but, you know, you take what you can get. One day we were driving into the city. Denver was about 4. He was in his little car seat. And traffic was horrible, and I'm sure we were late. We were on the Kennedy. And he could sense that I was getting upset about the traffic, and I said, he said, "Mom, are you angry?" Because I was like, "No, I'm not angry. Everything's lovely." You know, I said, "Yeah, Denver, but it's the traffic. It's not you. It's the traffic. It's really bugging me." And he said, "Mom, we're traffic too." Oh, so, little Buddha, I am your student. And that's how it goes, I think. Our mothers are our students, and we are our mother's students. I learned a lot from my mom, and I think she maybe learned some stuff from me. Then I told, first service, I told the story of my sister Brenna and I have a best friend, Mimi, and the three of us are convinced that we were in a convent somewhere in a previous life making trouble. We were all raised Catholic in this lifetime, but we have not been practicing Catholics for many years, and because we got it down. We didn't have to practice anymore. We know how this goes. Yes, you kneel here. Yep. Up, down, up, down. But we like to present Catholicism to our kids still, because we think, I don't want to go to the hot place for sure. I don't believe in hell anymore, but I don't want to go there in case the Catholics are right. So every now and then we'll bring up some Catholic stuff. But when Mimi's daughter was very young, just little, Mimi said to her, "Whitney, do you know who the Blessed Mother is?" And Whitney said, "Yeah, you, Mom, you're the Blessed Mother." Oh. That's right, I am. Growing up as a kid in Catholic school, the nuns wouldn't call me Megan because it wasn't a saint's name. So they called me by my first name, Mary. And my father had quite a devotion to the Blessed Mother. The Blessed Mother, I remember a statue of the Blessed Mother in church where I went, as a kid. I was in Catholic school. And I loved the statue, but what intrigued me was she was barefoot standing on a snake. I'm like, this is not a gal that you're going to want to mess with, She is standing on a snake looking very calm. I'm like, what is that about? So cool. I never thought of the Blessed Mother as meek or, this is a woman who saw her child, crucified. This is a woman who was stepping on the head of evil in the world, or what we conceive as evil. This was the feminine mother energy saying, I don't think so. I don't think so. So so the Blessed Mother, my mother, the whole feminine energy. It's Sophia it's the anima animas, and there are 4. I put them down. Jung was very much into anima animas, male female, and it's intriguing. There's Eve, named after the Genesis account of Adam and Eve. Of course, I heard a teacher say once that the reason women are angry at men is that it all goes back to Adam throwing Eve under the bus. Well, she made me eat the apples. Kind of goes way back. Are we still really angry about that? I also remember being on a flight to Ireland and sitting next to a British woman, and we got to talking, and she was saying, and I was just bringing up the Irish-English thing, and she said, well, you know, the thing about the Irish is that they have such dreadfully long memories. So there's Eve, of course, of Adam and Eve fame. Then there's Helen, an allusion to Helen of Troy in Greek mythology, viewed as and Eve deals with the emergence of man's object of desire. Helen is viewed as capable of worldly success and being self-reliant. Helen, very strong Greek goddess. Then there's Mary. The third phase is Mary, named after the Christian theological understanding of the Virgin Mary, Jesus' mother. At this level, women can now seem to possess virtue by the perceiving men, even if in an esoteric and dogmatic way, as much as certain activities deemed unconsciously unvirtuous cannot be applied to her. And then last, Sophia, named after the Greek word for wisdom, Sophia. So I think all these entities live in the kind of the female psyche. You know, I was saying also earlier that I love a certain teacher. She's in Los Angeles. Her name is Dr. Pat Allen, and she's a relationships expert, and she always says there are 4 people in a relationship because everyone is male and female, and that male is conquering and controlling and let's go, and female is passive, vulnerable, and when women are sort of not forced but encouraged to work, be in the workforce, they sort of surrender that right brain receptivity, vulnerability, and a lot of what she says sounds very 50s. It's like this generation's like, oh, that's so old. But there are certain things that, whether they're 50s or not, it is how the brain works. And have you ever noticed that when you are driving, you get to your destination, you have no idea how you got there. Because you were thinking of, I like to think of song lyrics, I'm usually listening to music, and that's right brain. Left brain knows what it's doing. You're going to want your left brain, your male, putting things in order when you're balancing your checkbook, or when you're, when you need to put something in order. So when you give the left brain a task, cool, it does its task, and it does not, and it shuts off the critical voice, because the left brain is, what is this about? How does this look? How does this go? Who do you think you are? What are you doing? When the right brain wants to create, the right brain wants to receive that instinctive thought. And Dr. Allen talks about how male is The male is intuitive. Female is instinctive. Isn't that surprising? I always thought woman's intuition. We hear woman's intuition. But in fact, men are the ones with the intuition. They know stuff. It's almost psychic, you know. And left-handed men can think and feel at the same time. And women. Women can think and feel at the same time. So Dr. Allen suggests never ask a woman what she thinks. Instead, ask her how she feels about something. Same thing with women. Never ask a man how he feels unless you're his mother. Or unless he's throwing up or bleeding, you know. Ask him what he thinks. Because men are thinkers and, you know, women are feelers. But women and left-handed men have a larger corpus callosum, which separates the hemispheres of the brain. Isn't that interesting? I love this stuff. I love science, especially if it's a little cosmic. I love it when it's a little cosmic. So our right brain is the one that wants to create, and when we're in the shower, or when we're walking, just taking a walk, or when we're painting, or just, you know, doodling, the left brain is engaged in its own thing and does not, it sort of circumvents that voice of criticism. So the right brain can kind of come in and, yes. And when I teach voice, if a student is having trouble with a pitch or with this, I ask them to do a little movement with their right hand. Gives the left brain, oh, what's that? Okay, how many times do you do it? You can just come in here and do this. It is a desire to create. So this week I want you to think about what is asking to be created in you. What is asking to be created? What is asking to be birthed in you? The mother aspect of your psyche, or your, you know, is, because everybody has both. So this week, I want you to think about that. What is a project that you've maybe put on hold because you've needed to put in a couple more hours at work, or you've got to put things in order. And then lastly, I want you to think about mothering your inner child, your own inner child, who's always with you, always will be with you. Did anyone here, any of you men, go through the warrior training, warrior project? I remember going through the Woman Within, which was of course, women's part of warrior training. It was all the Robert Bly work and lots of drumming and smudging. So the facilitators of my group, my weekend, took us through a guided meditation, took us into a castle, and I opened the door to my inner child's room, and she was looked so well behaved, like she was waiting for Sister Mary Rebecca to let her back into class or something. Very well behaved, and then I went to another room and I opened the door, or actually my inner teenager opened the door, and she was crazy, and her hair was crazy, and she was just crazy, and lots of profanity. I'm like, different, okay. But these parts of ourselves, these parts of myself, that either I take them along and I include them and ask them, how's it going? How is, you know, is there anything you need? Is there anything you want? Let's stay connected. Because that's instinct, that's intuition, that's that feeling. And if you'll help me do this, we can do this. But I gotta make sure that I do this so my inner child doesn't go, hey, you said we were gonna do this and we're not doing this. I think I need to send up some depression. You know, I think I need to set up some anxiety to get your attention. That's how my inner child gets my attention. I'm like, oh, I don't feel so good. What's going on inside? What's going on in my inner realm? And in a meditation, a couple weeks ago, I checked in with both of them, my inner child and my inner teenager, and I said, how are you guys doing? How's everything? Is there anything you want? And my inner child said, a dog, a puppy, a dog. And my inner teenager said, a boyfriend. And I thought, okay, so a man with a dog is actually, you know, I can really simplify it. So this week, just maybe give some thought to a creative project that has been maybe dormant, maybe, you know, you have put aside because you needed to, I don't know, work, and you didn't think there was enough time for a creative project. And mentoring and mothering our own inner child is a worthwhile time, and it's worth your time. That little kid is worth our time and attention, because you are the mom, you are the dad, you're both. You're parenting that inner child that will always tell you the truth, that will always let you know what is safe and what is not. That's that feeling that you get right here. And driving, yes, showering, but I gotta say, meditating is really a great way to just, I'm not saying 20 minutes, I'm not saying 5 minutes, to just take a breath. If you need to put on an insight timer, they have wonderful meditations. But just to check in, how am I doing? How are you feeling? And assuring yourself, it's okay. Your inner child is okay. The committee is okay. You're a good mom. So have a wonderful Mother's Day. If our mothers have passed, we just know that wherever they are, the goddess is, and God is, and all is well. Thank you. And it is time for our tithes and offerings. We are so grateful, knowing that our tithes and offerings go toward the support of this wonderful Unity Northwest. We're so grateful. And the affirmation you can repeat after me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. So this is our time for meditation. If you want to take everything out of your hands, feet on the floor, and just shoulders to earlobes, and then release. And I want to release your jaw a little bit. Close your eyes. Come to you without my list of all life's knots I can't untwist, but just to be here in your midst is all I really need. And to sit here quietly loving you, you loving me in the silence, in the peace is all I need to be. to you without my list of all life's knots I can't untwist. Just to be here in your midst is all I really need. To sit here quietly, loving you, you loving me. And the silence and the peace is all I need to be. So as we take this time to go to center, to know the peace that passes all understanding, just be with the one presence and the one power, without any list or agenda, just knowing that this Father, Mother presence in our lives is the only presence and power there is. Peaceful, calm, loving, nurturing, and that we can trust this presence and this power to always guide us, to love us, to hold our thoughts, feelings, and ideas, and to always help us. For we are divine expressions of the One. And how wonderful that is. So this is where we place our focus, on the breath, as we breathe into this wonderful knowing. There is one presence and one power, God, the good, omnipotent. Let us be with this thought in the silence. Come to you without my list of all life's knots I can't untwist. Just to be here in your midst is all I really need. And to sit here quietly, loving you, you're loving me, in the silence. In the peace is all I need to be. Hallelujah, hallelujah, so